What's going on, everyone? This is going to be my Stamina Warden 2H and bow build. I said I was going to make a 2H and bow build, so that's what I'm doing. But I'm not the biggest fan of a 2H and bow build on a Stamina Warden, just because I feel like the Warden has a lot of good skills, a lot of powerful skills that can be combined with sword and board or dual wield better. But on the other hand, making this build, it's been really strong and fun to play. So I mean, either way it's good. Just depends what you like, and a lot of people like 2H and bow, so figured I would play on this for a while, and then if it was good, make a build video on it. So let me just go over my stats real quick. Before I do that though, this is mainly for battlegrounds. Still can work in champion point campaigns as well. Although I might swap to Eternal Hunt if I was in solo PvP, just for the rune and to still get good recovery. So semi-buffed, I am getting 2700 weapon damage, 2100, almost 2200 stam recovery. 17,683 physical and spell resistance, and almost 2900 crit resist. So with the crit resist, obviously in non-champion point scenarios like battlegrounds, that goes down to, like, I want to say somewhere around 15, 16, 1700. Now with the max stam, it's almost 35,000 max stam. That will go down to around 30,000, between 30 and 31,000. The max health, I was just in battlegrounds not that long ago, and the max health almost hits 20,000. It's just below 20,000. So those will change. I might even show it at the end, I'm not sure yet though. And then the weapon crit. Weapon crit is around 20%. And I'm gonna talk about how that can go up if you want it to. So the gear for the first set, I'm running Senches Bite. This is a really good set. It used to be called the Skirmisher set. That should not be 124. I mean 123. It should be 124. Yeah, I should have upgraded this. Still blue. So yeah, Senches Bite. Stam, recovery, weapon crit, max stam. When you roll dodge, your weapon damage is increased by 410, and your weapon critical rating is increased by 657 for 5 seconds. This is a really strong set. I've always liked this set. It's really good. The second set is Celine's. This obviously is a powerful set. The proc is very strong. 16,000 physical damage. It's pretty annoying, honestly. Can't stand this set in battlegrounds. But yeah, mainly I like it for the max stam one piece, because with no CP you need more max stam. Obviously, other sets that I've run on this build are similar ones. Pirate Skeleton I ran on this build. It's physical and spell resistance, and when you take damage you have an 8% chance to turn into a skeleton. Major protection and minor defile. So reduces your damage taken by 30%, but reduces your healing received by 15%. Once every 15 seconds, and it lasts for 12 seconds. Basically, this set is really strong. The only issue I have with this set is the fact that it has bar swap issues. When you turn into the skeleton, when you're changing out of the skeleton, you can't bar swap sometimes. You have to hit it a couple times. So that's the only issue I can fine with this set, but I kind of just wanted more damage. Celestrix is another good set, especially for the one piece max Stam. Reason I don't use it on this build is because it stuns people, and I'm already running a couple stuns, so I don't need it anymore. And then Veladrith is probably my favorite proc set. If I might even go with this if I was open world that campaign, just because I like the poison damage. I like the fact of the way that it spawns the poison balls in, but Celine's I think is better for close quarters like Battlegrounds is. And for the last set, which I'm going to show two different sets that I'm running on this. I like them both. I keep swapping back and forth. I can't really choose. So, Spriggens is the first one. Stam, weapon damage. 3,954 physical penetration. So, obviously, physical penetration is good because it's ignoring armor. So, in a non-champion point campaign or Battlegrounds, you get 5,160 from sharpened, and if you add this on, you're getting, you know, 9,000, around 9,000. If you run like Crusher enchantment on your bow bar or something, you could do that, and you even get more towards like a 10,000 physical penetration or more, something like that. But either way, this set is really good. The Stam ×2 is really good, weapon damage, and the physical penetration. When it comes to champion point campaigns, I would go with the other setup, because with Spriggens, I find that I can get that amount of physical penetration just by putting like between 40 and 50 points into the champion point tree for physical penetration. So yeah, that's why I probably wouldn't use it anymore. Although I might, because physical penetration never hurts. So on the right build I might, but I don't think I would use it on this setup in a CP campaign. It does make you hit really hard though. I'm not trying to underplay the set because it's still one of my favorite sets in the entire game. So you could definitely use it. All in pen. All Stam glyphs except for one on the shoulders. If you wanted a little more health, you can put it on a big piece like the legs. But I used one health glyph on the shoulders, also the reinforced shoulders because it's what I had. So with this setup, you could either go 4 Spriggens on the body or 4 sench on the body, and then sench bow and a Spriggens 2H, and the jewelry of either or. But I used 3 sench jewelry, Spriggens on the body, because I already had the gold Spriggens pieces. I use weapon damage, and Stam recovery. This is a purple glyph too. Now, if you need more Stam recovery than 2163, if you're running out of resources, then you could certainly add another Stam recovery glyph, or even a reduced cost glyph if you wanted to. So if I fully buff with this setup, I'm getting 3200 weapon damage, 35% weapon crit. So that's why I'm alright with the weapon crit, because you get a little more from sench. Now I'm gonna see if this will go up. So yeah, it goes up to 3,661, I think it said, when you use the weapon damage glyph on the bow bar. So what I try to do is, when if I'm gonna fight somebody like in a situation like this, I would try to like throw this down and then light attack. I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if it's still up. Yeah, it's not, but I try to light attack with the bow before I attack. Last thing I'm gonna go over is the alternative sets. So if you don't like Sench and you like this type of build, the way the air set is really good. It will actually give you more Stam recovery and a little less damage. This you get 3, 3, 2, and this is 410. So I think it's like 80 less weapon damage. The way weapon damage works with the percentages involved probably is like 150 less, maybe 200. Maybe not 200. It's probably like 100 less damage that you get. It's not that much. So if you want more recovery, this would be the way to go. Plus this lasts a second longer. And it may not seem like a lot, but with the roll dodge sets, a second is a lot for it to last. I mean, any proc set, really, a second more is definitely a long time. So the 4-piece is situational. It's not the best, but it's not the worst, because Nightblades are really annoying in Battlegrounds. Extremely annoying. So you can detect them easier if they're next to you, cloaked or stealth. Is it going to stop them from coming out of stealth and killing you with an Incap and Selines and Viper? It might stop them getting you out of stealth, but they're still going to proc on you. So that's why it's like situational. It might help sometimes, other times it's just going to be the same old Nightblade stuff. But yeah, the other thing is this one gives you weapon crit, so Way of the Air doesn't, and that's another plus. And it gives you the 3-piece weapon crit too, and 4-piece max Stam, so if this 4-piece is just too useless to you, then Sench should be the way to go. For me, I'm going with Sench for now. I like Sench. If I could have a defending bow, I'd want a defending bow. Obviously a sharpened 2H, whatever it is that you're running, it should be sharpened. And like I said before, increase your weapon damage and spell damage by 320 for 5 seconds. So that's the glyph on my bow bar. That's the glyph I would definitely recommend. Defending bow, precise bow, powered bow, sharpened bow. Sharpened's good too. Now for the other set, and if I'm going into a champion point campaign, even in Battlegrounds, I use this setup too. It is Red Mountain. Love this set. It's a great set. Weapon damage, max Stam, weapon crit. When you deal damage with a weapon ability, you have a 10% chance to deal an additional, it's like over 10,000 flame damage when you buff, once every 2 seconds. So it's a pretty powerful proc. So, let me see here. Switch this out real quick. So now, with this setup, the stats are similar. You get a little less Stam. And, little less Stam, same weapon damage, a little more crit, same recovery. That doesn't seem right. So yeah, in the proc, tooltips for just can't get it. Okay, fully buffed, the proc tooltips for 10,045. So that's a lot of damage to just deal every 2 seconds. And on this build, you're using weapon abilities a lot. Dizzying swing, execute. That's what I need to go over to, is the skills. So dizzying swing deals a lot of damage, stuns and knocks back. 15,000 physical damage. Rally gives you major brutality for 33 seconds, which is a long time, and it can be a really good burst heal if you need it after it times out or whenever. Reverse slice, cheap execute, Stampede I'm using over Crit Rush. I almost said Crit Rush because I'm so used to using it, but in Battlegrounds I feel like Stampede's better. Just to slow people down, whether they're running a flag or a relic back, or you just, like I said, it's close quarters, so if you just want to keep them from moving around too much. Cutting Dive is so powerful, so annoying. This ability is really annoying. 10,446 physical damage. This is a ranged ability too, which is really good. So, I mean, this ability, I had a magical warden spamming this ability on me the other day in PvP, and I was up on the side of a keep, and I didn't want to jump down, and I was just sitting there blocking, panicking, not knowing what to do, and he kept spamming it, and he ended up killing me. In my tooltip, this thing was hitting for 2,500 through block every time. So it definitely hits pretty hard, even through block. Dawnbreaker of Smiting, so this hits really hard. 15,000 physical damage to enemies in front of you, and an additional 15,000 damage over time. So, oh yeah, and it stuns. This ultimate is buggy right now, like, it's so annoying. You can't hit people with it if they dodge roll. Sometimes it just misses people for no reason. Like if they're at this tree and I'm like right here, sometimes it can still miss them. I don't know why. I haven't been able to find anything out on the forums about it, but it's just acting weird. So what I try to do is stun somebody with a dizzying swing first and then Dawnbreaker, if possible. So yeah. Backbar, Subterranean Assault. So again, I backbar this just so I can hit it through dodge roll, the light attack from the bow, and then have it go off on the front bar. Bird of Prey, Major Expedition for 10 seconds, Major Endurance for 10 seconds, and Minor Berserk, increasing your damage done by 8% for 10 seconds. So this skill is extremely powerful. It only lasts for 10 seconds, but if you're in combat, it's really good to use. These two are the only magic abilities that I use. Now, Ice Fortress is kind of an expensive magic skill, but it gives you major resolve and major ward, physical and spell resistance, so that's good. But it also gives you minor protection for 21 seconds, reducing your incoming damage by 8% for 21 seconds. That's pretty strong, especially with how long it lasts. So that's why I went with this morph over the one that decreases the cost and like expands it for your allies to like, I don't know, 12 meters or 15 meters. Makes it like 3,200, but I'd definitely rather pay for that because you can activate it, still use Bird of Prey, and it lasts for a really long time. So while you're fighting, your magic is gaining, you don't have to recast it. Lethal Arrow is a really good skill too. Thing is, like, it hits 13,500 poison damage, applies the poison status effect, and gives Major Defile. Really good skill. I still would probably go with Poison Injection if I had it. Still haven't leveled up my bow on this character, mainly because when I make this a magic warden, I'm gonna have to level up Destro, Resto, Light Armor, Mage's Guild. I didn't have Mage's Guild yet. It's gonna be a lot of work, so I haven't wanted to grind this up, but let me just go down to it real quick. Poison Arrow is a very strong skill. Snipe or Lethal Arrow is gonna hit harder up front and do good damage, but when you morph Poison Arrow into Poison Injection, I mean, it's going to deal a huge amount of damage, especially to people who are under 50% health. Sometimes on my tooltips, I'm getting 13, 14, 15,000 Poison Injection dots. Even a few Battlegrounds games before my last one, like 3 games ago, I had a 13k Poison Injection dot with like 2 other abilities on my bar from a Nightblade, probably using a master bow, but it still hits extremely hard. So I would recommend either poison injection or lethal arrow. I always lean more towards poison injection, but I've had some fun with lethal arrow, surprisingly, because I haven't used it in a long time since I ran this build, and it's a pretty fun skill to use. Resolving Vigor is a powerful heal, obviously. Most people know about it. I mean, it's a must if you're a stamina build. Just gotta be careful with it now because it's kind of expensive. And for the ultimate, Healing Thicket, just as an oh shit button. It's cheap, so if you're in trouble and you can't Dawnbreaker your way out, you can at least hit this and try to keep fighting. Gives you 8,273 health and continues to heal you and your allies 4,000 per second for 6 seconds. Then, with this morph, when the effect ends, allies continue to receive 20,000 healing over 4 seconds. I don't think this is you, I think it's just allies, but it's good for your team, regardless. And I don't have many skill points on this character, but if I did, I would probably grab all these passives too, just for having this on my bar, because, I mean, all these things add up. So, that's about it for the skills. If you want to slot Green Lotus for the weapon crit, I really wouldn't advise it, but you could take off Ice Fortress, you could take off Lethal Arrow, you could even take off Executioner, put the Shulk here, and then slot Green Lotus over here where the Shulk is. There's ways around to work around things if you have to. So all the passives I would take, the main important ones obviously are the Animal Companions, Winter Embrace. I just used this one, reduce the effectiveness of snares, applied to you by 15%. These ones don't really do much. Two-handed, all of them. Bow, all of them. Especially this last one's really good if you have it for the major expedition when you roll dodge, because this is a roll dodge build. Medium armor, I take all of them, and heavy, just these first 3. I don't have this one yet. Again, skill points. Another thing too, I'm not running shuffle. People might wonder why I'm not running shuffle. Honestly, because it's a huge cost of stamina. If I was in a vet campaign, I might, because I usually cast it after I CC break for Unchained passive to go off. But with this, minor protection, like shuffle is a damage reduction one way or another, because whether you notice it or not, certain attacks are missing you, so it's a powerful skill, don't get me wrong, and if you want to run it instead of the Ice Fortress, then that's good too, but I went with the Ice Fortress. Either one is strong though. Fighters Guild, for the passives, I would get this one first. Deals additional 20% damage to undead and Daedra and werewolves. A lot of people are werewolves and vampires in PvP. Solid support passives I take whenever I can. And that's about it for the skills. So, Mundus Stone, the Serpent, Stam Recovery, Food, Dubious Cameron Throne. I love this food, it's very strong. I put all my attributes into Stamina. Poisons, if you want to run poisons. I like this glyph on my bow bar. But if you want like poison damage, fire damage, you could even put one of these glyphs for weapon and spell damage on your main bar too. Or you could do Oblivion damage, which is really good. But if you would rather run poisons, I like these ones. 1700 poison damage per second for 4.5 seconds. And 1100 poison damage for 6.4 seconds. So basically, roughly, I think, 6,000 and 6,000. Close to it anyway. So that's pretty big poison damage dot that it puts on somebody if you use these. Also, you could use cost poisons. I'm not a fan of cost poisons. They are powerful though, and they're really annoying. Why am I doing that? So, I mean, if you're lower level, not as experienced, I would definitely go with cost poisons. But hopefully they're removed from the game eventually. Potions, I use Essence of Detection with Major Vitality, because if I'm popping one of these potions, which I hate to do because that means I can't hit a stamina potion, but if I'm using it, that means there's a Nightblade trying to kill me. Most likely the Nightblade has hit me with an incap, reducing my healing by 30%. So this gives me that 30% back with Major Vitality, and even if it doesn't, even if they didn't hit me with an incap, giving me Major Defile, still Major Vitality is good. So these are the ones I use for that purpose. Then Immovable Health and Stamina is what I use on almost everything. Tripods are good, but I wouldn't use them really on this build. I mean, you do use magic a lot, especially for speed, unless you roll dodge on the bow bar, but I mean, those are good too, if you want to. I like immovable pots. Getting knocked down is a huge opening for people. A lot of people will hit their ultimate when you're knocked down, kind of like I do now, that I have to. I mean, it's just a good... Your defenses are down. It's a good chance to hit you when you're knocked down, so immovable pots are really good. And then, if you want to go with the Stam and weapon crit pots, I don't know if those can have immovable too, but if they can, that would be good. And that is pretty much it as far as I can tell. I don't know if I mentioned this, but if you need more recovery, I would swap one of these out. I think I did mention that though. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. See if I can pull off how I would go on somebody with this setup. So there's a couple things you can do. Number one, like this, I would try to like buff up when I'm like running into somebody, and then throw this down, hit my bird of prey real quick, and then quick rush, throw it all in sequence. That's pretty strong. Another thing you can do, let me see here. You buff up if you're in stealth, if you crouch down watching somebody. You could hit the snipe, and then swap R's and crit rush really fast. And that's gonna hit hard too. With Red Mountain, when you crit rush and it procs, you'll notice it. Like, it will light them on fire, and it does a lot of damage. So, both of these sets I like so much. Like I said earlier, I would recommend either one. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks a lot for watching.